Nietzsche, an atheist philosopher, once said, "God is dead," which is a statement that has so many nuances. Entire university courses have been constructed on this simple line. But Nietzsche did not stop there. He went on to say, "God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? What was holiest and mightiest of all that the world has yet owned has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there for us to clean ourselves?" This philosopher understood what the greatest minds of the day cannot even begin to comprehend. By claiming there is no God, we have damned mankind to tragedy, mayhem, and death. Nietzsche, however, was also a humanist, and he went on to say, "What festivals of atonement, what sacred games shall we have to invent? Is not the greatness of this deed too great for us? Must we ourselves not become gods simply to appear worthy of it?" In this he claims, nay, hopes, that man will one day become its own god. Sadly, however, here we are, hundreds of years later, and only the first part of his prediction has come to pass, with no end in sight. Hitler, who some would try to claim was a Christian, but he himself in his writings claimed to be an atheist and an evolutionist, is directly responsible for anywhere from 10 to 20 million deaths. That number is so large it is beyond our natural ability to comprehend, and all of them are a direct result of one man's humanistic beliefs and desires to perfect the perfect evolutionistic race. But atheism, which by its very nature leads to humanism, did not stop there. No, this was only its first monumental leap forward. Barely a handful of years later, Stalin's atheistic beliefs and ideals killed so many millions of innocent people that even to this day we cannot count the bodies. Conservative estimates claim the death toll to be around 12 million, while others claim it was more like 28 million. Once again, we cannot even begin to comprehend these numbers because they are so massive, but one only has to read one page about the atrocities committed in Gulag to forever have his dreams darkened by horrible nightmares. Alas, one would think, with such examples laid out, that mankind's eyes would be open and we would see what we become without God. But no. Man's humanistic, ravenous desires to be his own master, to answer to no one but himself, continued on throughout history, and so came Mao Zedong onto the pages of our past. Chairman Mao hated God and all that he stood for. Thus, one of his greatest goals was to stomp out all religion and create a nation without God, a nation built on the premise that man was all that man needed. So he initiated his great leap forward, which resulted in one of the world's top two tragedies. In just 4 years, Mao's great leap forward killed 45 million. 45 million. Just stop to think about that for a second. That is more people murdered than all the major cities in America have in them combined. But Mao did not stop there. No. In his hubris, he decreed that all sparrows in the country were to be killed, and he did so in direct defiance to the ancient Taoist traditions of living in harmony with the forest and mountains and lakes and rivers and the creatures they contained. This mistake led to an estimated 30 million of his own people starving to death when a swarm of uncontrolled insects ate every green thing down to their roots. All in all, some claim Mao's humanistic beliefs have killed upwards to 78 million people. Oh, but atheism has not only created these monsters, it has also created and bolstered diseases and plagues, probably the most well-known of which is AIDS. AIDS is a sexually transmitted disease perpetuated by the direct defiance of God's laws. It has killed 35 million people to date, with no sign of stopping. Atheism has claimed hundreds of millions of lives, and is far from done. Even now, America, the world's superpower, is on the verge of civil war. Atheism is determined to see it happen, and will stop at nothing to push it over the edge. If it has its way, the blood of mankind will flow ankle deep in America's great cities, and world war will consume the world for a third time, resulting in countless more deaths. But surely atheism has had to have some positive, some good outcome for all the death it has caused. No. Oh, some delusional humanist would claim it has, that it has given us technology and an air of science like no other. But in truth, this is also a lie. 90% of all technology is built on inventions made by those who feared God and obey Him. Case in point, George Washington Carver, who should rightfully be known as the father of modern agriculture, gained over 100 inventions from the peanut by locking himself away in a room and asking God why he created the peanut. Then there was Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Edison, Isaac Newton, Charles Babbage, Samuel Morse. The list goes on and on and on. Even the great Albert Einstein believed in God and became quite irate when the atheist of the time said he didn't. That is not to say there has been no inventors of the modern era that did not believe in God, but it is easy to make the case that many of these inventions have come to them despite their beliefs. Countless stories have spoken of inventors who received their inventions in dreams as if given to them by an unknown entity in a vision. Nay, I would say atheism has not given us this modern age of technology, but rather I would go as far as to say it has done naught but hinder it. Countless billions have been spent on trying to prove evolution, to prove man is its own God, and all for naught. To this day, there is no proof that evolution is real, and even its supposed geological columns can be easily explained away by the biblical account of the worldwide flood. Imagine if those countless billions had instead been invested on other forms of more sensible research. Our technological advances would be leaps and bounds beyond what it is now. Then there is the thousands upon thousands of inventions that have been violently squashed by big corporations, some of which could have saved millions of lives. But because the CEOs of said companies are atheists and believe they are their own God, they have no fear or remorse over their selfish actions. Unlike the philosopher Nietzsche believed, atheism has proven time and time again it only has one end, and that is death.